thank you very much, Ruth, for joining me today. We are going to do another frequently asked questions, and this time our topic is about spousal maintenance and what might happen in the event of retirement. So our first question is, what is spousal maintenance?
Well, essentially, spousal maintenance is a payment from the higher earner in a marriage to the lower earner. And the idea behind it is that the lower earner should not suffer any hardship when leaving the marriage. So very often you have a situation where one person will maybe stay at home and give up a career to look after the children and look after the home, and the other partner in the marriage will go out and sort of earn some money, quite simply. So the idea behind spousal maintenance is that when the marriage ends, the person who has stayed at home and not pursued a career should not be disadvantaged in a financial sense.
Okay, thank you very much. Our second question is, how long does spousal maintenance typically last?
I'm going to give you a very lawyerly answer here, and the answer is it depends. So it can stretch from anything to as short as 1 month to the rest of parties' lives. And it all depends on the circumstances of the particular case and how long the parties have been married and whether they have children or not. So the answer is it depends, and it depends on the circumstances of that particular relationship.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next question is, how is maintenance calculated?
Again, it is calculated on a needs basis. So the idea is that the person who receives the payment should get an amount of money which meets their reasonable needs. Reasonable needs are also viewed in the context of what happened during the marriage. So if during the marriage, this particular couple were taking holidays to Saint-Tropez and flying first class to Thailand on a regular basis, then that level of maintenance should be paid. If the parties have been having a slightly more modest standard of living, and actually the person paying the maintenance only earns a certain amount of money, then the amount of maintenance that will be paid will be tempered down. So again, it all very much depends on the circumstances, but the main point is needs. So the person receiving the money needs to have their reasonable needs met.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next question is, can spousal maintenance be reduced or stopped after it has been ordered?
Yes, absolutely. So spousal maintenance is by nature variable, because one thing that happens when you make a decision out of a divorce in terms of finances, obviously financial circumstances change down the line. So it may be that the person receiving the money comes into some money themselves or has done quite well in their career, or it could be that the person paying the maintenance has lost their job or has had to take a lower salary for whatever reason. So you can always vary maintenance. It can be varied up, it can be varied downwards. It can be capitalized, so that means the person receiving the money can get one lump sum payment instead of ad hoc payments, over a course of time. And it can be stopped. It can certainly be terminated as well.
Our next question is, what happens to spousal maintenance if the partner paying it retires?
So that would all depend on the terms of the exact order. So there's no hard and fast rule that says when the person paying maintenance retires, payment should stop. But it may be worded into the order that maintenance stops when the person paying it reaches 65 or 70, which is assumed that they'll retire at that stage. If the order does not provide for any kind of change on retirement and the person paying it is coming up to retirement age and is worried about those kinds of payments and how they'd meet them in retirement, then they can return to court and have the spousal maintenance order varied, which is what we discussed before about changing the maintenance order to reflect a change in circumstances.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next question is, what happens to spousal maintenance if the partner receiving it remarries?
So this is a very important point. By law, if the person receiving maintenance remarries, they are no longer entitled to any maintenance payments. So the idea is you are no longer financially reliant on your previous partner because you, I suppose, have a new partner. So your previous partner is essentially off the hook in terms of maintenance payments. So that's always something very important to remember if you are a client, if you're in a case and you're being offered spousal maintenance. I always ask my clients, do you have any intention on remarrying in the near future? Because if you do, then it might be better to capitalize your maintenance now rather than have it for a period of, let's say, 10 years, but it only lasts 2 years because you end up getting remarried soon after. So it's very important. It's a very good question. Thank you, Sarah. And it's a very important point for anyone who is going through negotiations, through financial negotiations out of a divorce. They should always consider, well, do I want to get remarried in the near future?
Thank you. Our next question is, what would happen to spousal maintenance in the event that the partner receiving it cohabits with a new partner but doesn't necessarily remarry?
So in law, there's cohabitation has no effect. So it doesn't operate the same way as remarriage in that someone starts cohabiting, maintenance payments would still continue. However, this comes down to the exact wording of the order when you reach a financial agreement. Lots of orders, and certainly when I draft them, I include a clause which says on cohabitation for a period of, I usually put for a period of 6 months or more, maintenance payments will stop. So this would be the person who is receiving maintenance payments. If they cohabit for a period of 6 months or more, then maintenance payments will stop. It's sometimes quite difficult to prove cohabitation. I've heard lots of interesting stories of people camping out outside their ex-partner's house to try and figure out who's coming and who's leaving. But essentially, I would, if you are paying maintenance, I would always insist on there being a cohabitation clause, so that if your ex-partner essentially enters into a relationship which looks like it's long-term, maintenance payments will stop. But again, the important point is it doesn't end as a matter of law on cohabitation. You have to include something in an agreement.
Okay, thank you very much. Our final question then is, are children also covered by spousal maintenance?
Strictly no, because children are covered by child maintenance. So spousal maintenance would strictly be for maintenance to the ex-partner themselves. However, in reality, when there are children involved, everything is looked at in the whole. So you say, okay, well, if I'm going to get, let's say I'm making up a number, £500 in child maintenance, but if when you include the children's expenses, actually that person needs £3,000, spousal maintenance will be increased to £2,500. So even though strictly child maintenance is separate, spousal maintenance does sort of encroach in on expenses for children because they are expenses the person receiving spousal maintenance might need to make.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, that brings our video to a close. Those are all our questions for today. So we hope you found this helpful, and please do feel free to contact Grayfords should you have more specific advice in mind. Thank you very much for your time today, Harut.
That's absolutely no problem.
Thank you. Bye.